welcome back to Designing with Type. Now I realize that it's taken us a little while to get to it, but we're finally ready to start using the Type tool. And I needed you to know how to use some of the other tools before you'd be ready to begin working with stylized type. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to learn about creating type, converting that type to objects, and then stylizing those objects into something that looks really cool. So let's get started. Okay, here we are in Inkscape. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my page size to my cutting mat size, and I'm going to be working with the standard 12 by 12 mat. So going up to the properties bar across the top of the screen, and the little wrench with the square there is the Edit Properties button. We're going to change our display units to inches, and then I'm going to change my units here to inches, and then my width is going to be 12. Pressing the tab key, my height is 12. Pressing the tab key. Now I can close that window. I've got my nice 12 by 12. Pressing the 5 key is going to get that nice centered and filled my screen. One other thing I need to remember to do is come over here and turn this snapping off. I just hate that. Now I'm ready to begin building my sign. I have already installed two typefaces. One is called Anton, the other is Permanent Marker. Both of those are free typefaces available at dafont.com. I have included links in the description down below. Now let's begin by grabbing the Type tool. That's this A right here. Then I'm going to move over to my page and single click. I will type in the words that I want. It'll be capital P-O-O-L. Getting my arrow tool, pressing the F1 key to do that, holding down the control key to constrain my movements. I'm going to drag that out nice and big there. Perfect. Okay. And what I want to do now is I want to change this to my heavy sans serif typeface that I selected. I'm going to do that by coming back over to the Type tool, going up to the Properties bar, and you can see here where it says sans serif. If I click the drop down there, I can see my entire list of typefaces that are available to me on my machine. I know which one I want is called Anton, so I'm just going to highlight that text and type in Anton, and then it's going to come right up there for me. Press the Enter key, and presto bango, look at that. Now I've got this big, nice, beautiful sans serif typeface. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stylize it. And there are a lot of ways I could do this and keep it as editable text. But you know, eventually I'm going to have to convert this to outlines or to objects, to vector paths, before I can output it to my cutting software, which, by the way, I use the Silhouette. I use the cheap freebie Silhouette Studio software because I refuse to pay their upgrade when there's better software out there that's available for free, like Inkscape. So that said, let's go up to the Path menu, and you'll see there that I have Object to Path. That doesn't mean, oh, I don't like paths, I object. No, that means convert the object to a path. Notice your Shift-Control-C is the shortcut. All right, now on the surface here, it doesn't look like that did anything. But if I grab my Node tool, which is the F2 key on the keyboard, and then click on one of those, haha! Now it is an individual editable object. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to go back to my arrow tool by pressing the F1 key. I'm going to click on the P. Aha! What's going on? I thought we had individual characters. Well, we do. The problem is, or not necessarily a problem, the default when I convert a word or a group of letters to objects is Inkscape is going to group that selection of objects. So what I need to do is ungroup. You can go to the Object menu and select Ungroup, Or, if you love the shortcuts like I do, Control-Shift-G. Okay? Now that I have all of those selected, I'm pressing the Escape key to deselect. Now I'm going back to the P with my arrow tool and select. And I want to enlarge this. I'm going to hold down my Control key to constrain my proportions. And I'm going to make that P much bigger. There we go. Now I have the OOL tucked underneath the P of pool, and it looks nice. Now, I need to add some more type here. So I'm going back over to my type tool, and I'm going to type the word the, or the, T-H-E, and I want this one to be in the typeface permanent marker. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to type permanent, there it comes up there for me. Now I'm going to have two words in this typeface. I find it's a lot easier if I just duplicate this and then edit the text. So let's do that now. I'm going to choose duplicate, then with my arrow tool I'm going to drag that away, and then if I you're not behaving yourself. So if I grab my text tool here and then come over here and do a triple click on that, it will select the word, and then I'm going to just change that to N-I-N. Okay? There. And I'm just going to put you off over here to the side until I'm ready to deal with you. Now I'm moving this one down. I'm holding down the Control key. I'm dragging the corner here. All right. Look at that. And I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger. Okay, now I'm ready to start stylizing this text. So to do that, you guessed it, we're going to go to Path, Object to Path, and then we're going to ungroup. For my shortcut levers, like myself, Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-G will perform that maneuver in two quick keystrokes. Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-G. Okay. Now that I have those selected, I am going to click on the T there. I'm going to give it a fill of black, which it already has, but I'm going to give it a stroke of white. Okay. Then I'll grab these guys and drag them over here like this. All right. And I'm going to make the H and the E just a little bit smaller there. That's looking pretty good. Now I want the word N that I did earlier. I bring that over. Very nice. Okay. Now let's convert these to paths so we can stylize them a little bit. Control-Shift-Z, C as in cat, Control-Shift-G as in giraffe, and there we go. I'm going to squish that a little bit, and I'm going to do the N just a little bit smaller there because that's how I am. And we're going to play with this a little bit more anyway, but I'm going to skew that a little bit, tuck you over, maybe make you both a little bit bigger. There we go. Now, let's add our final text here. Caps lock on, and then changing you to Anton. Alrighty. Alright. Now I'm going to convert this to paths. Control-Shift-C. And let's, there we go. Alright. Now, this is where we just kind of tweak and finesse until we get it to look how we want. Now, something that I'm paying attention to is I have kind of a soft margin around the outside here. Now look how we have a hard margin on the left-hand side, but a really sloppy margin over here, border or margin over here on the right-hand side. So what I want to do is I'm selecting all of these, and I'm just going to drag that out and kind of create a visual margin there so that everything's just kind of behaving itself within the margin there. And that's one of those little things that will set you apart as a designer, is that attention to detail. You know, one of the things about being a great designer is no one's going to notice. But when you're a crappy designer, everyone notices. They don't quite know why. They just know that doesn't look quite right. Okay, so now that we've got the stylized, I could go on and on and on with this. But I think I'm happy to leave it like this for now. Again, I could go on and on and on, but that is how you use the type tool, convert the type to outlines, and then stylize your type. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Stick around, and in part 2 of this lesson, I'll show you how to output this to your cut software. Stay tuned.